Hey, this is Steve Yurchick, author of Swing Away Stand. If you really want to learn how to level up your life, you should be listening to the Time to Shine Today podcast with my good friend Scott Ferguson. Let's level up.
Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and we're at episode 270 with my really good friend Steve Yurchick. Steve played some college baseball, some professional baseball. Now he's a fantastic baseball coach, man. You can't find a better person to really kind of teach our youth to level up, because baseball is a sport of failure. I mean, if you get a hit 3 times out of 10, you're in the Hall of Fame. And the mindset and the knowledge nuggets that Steve drops in this interview are just fantastic. He wrote an awesome business parable called Swing Away Stand. Well, not even a business parable, just a parable story about Swing Away Stand, about blasting through adversity, especially the unavoidable ones, because they are going to come up in our life. So I'm just going to kind of shut up right now, get into our interview with my really good friend, author of Swing Away Stand and baseball coach, Steve Yurchick. Let's level up. Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. This is Scott Ferguson, and I got me my boy from Texas, College Station, Texas A&M fan, Aggie fan. I resonate with him, and my listeners out there know about my relationship with Jimbo and just how fantastic that coach is. And also, you bring people out of Texas like my boy Steve Yurchick here. And he was introduced to me by 4D Athletes, Jason Holzer, who's a dear friend of mine. And anybody that Jason says I need to speak to, I have to speak to. And so Steve is a teacher coach in College Station, Texas. He spent his youth playing baseball along with a variety of team sports. After high school, he took the opportunity to play college baseball, which led into the independent league. So he's got some skills, folks. Upon completion of graduate school at Texas A&M, he wrote and published a children's book titled Swing Away Stand, which I have a book giveaway at the end. So you have to sit here and listen to my rock star friend, Steve. Steve, welcome to the show. Please introduce yourself to Time to Shine Today podcast, Varsity Squad. But first, what's your favorite color and why?
I guess I would have to go with, since we had so much Aggie talk already, I'll go with maroon.
Maroon's a solid color, man. I love it. It was funny. That's my middle school was maroon, and we were the Maroon Mariners, or something like that. It was a lot of fun. So, yeah, seriously, man, thanks for coming on, and I'm stoked to talk to you and how you level up a lot of the youth and people that are coming up on the stage and molding minds. Yeah, can we get to the roots a little bit of where you started, where your foundation is?
So, I'm from a small town in Texas, but I guess, that foundation is, I was always in athletics. I was always playing Little League baseball, or I was in, rec sports of some sort. And it was, I was born in the 80s and grew up in the 90s. So thankfully, I feel like, I was pre-internet for a little bit, and I was able to realize how to fulfill my time outside, other than, technology, which is as good as it can be, a little bit distracting, as we all know. But I just loved it, and I love playing ball, and it really created a lot of opportunities for me to kind of, it's just, you learn and you meet people, and you go around the country and junior college and university level and stuff like that. And it's brought me a lot that I guess I wouldn't have thought I experienced maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Give me one of those experiences that really stand out to you, brother.
That's a good question. We probably my senior year, we won a conference title, and that's probably sticks out the most because I promise you, Scott, I lost so much from Little League to high school to junior college. We got our doors beat in on so many teams I played in, and this was kind of my last hurrah my senior year in 2008, and we got a title, and I was kind of able to go out on top. So that's probably my favorite memory so far.
That's awesome. It's funny that you might have lost, but I bet you if your team went to any other state, you guys would have probably put the smack down. You guys are actually probably pretty good, right?
It depends on the state. Florida's got some good teams.
Yeah, we got
out there.
some stuff.
If you stay in the South, Florida's got some good teams.
Yeah.
Mississippi and California, I think, are some of the biggest. Arizona's got some big schools. I guess it's baseball, so it's the Southern thing. We always have teams from Pennsylvania or Ohio come down and play, and their whole field is frozen in early February. So everybody comes to Texas or Florida.
Right.
Florida's probably a big one too. They host tournaments, so we might have had an advantage as it comes to calendar play, I would say.
Love it. And so what do you do then? are you working with people within the leveling up, or are you working with the youth, or what's your story right now?
So I'm at College Station High School, and I'm teaching and coaching up there.
That's
in
awesome.
U.S. history, and it's baseball. And I don't think I want to do anything else. I've been in athletics my whole life. I've tried some different things along the way, and this just kind of feels natural. I like being in athletics, and it's one of those days you're not going to be able to play anymore. But the closest I could get back to playing is coaching. So it's really fun. There are its challenges like any job, but you're able to go up and you get to the school and you get to the field, and I don't want to do anything else. So if I'm able to be around 20, 30 guys a year and play ball, I'll do it until probably in a wheelchair, maybe, hopefully. So,
I love it. And education is so structured, right? So you have different ways, and I don't ever knock education ever, because I think I did not go really to college, but I mentor teenagers every day here, and they're like, Fergie, should I go to college? I'm like, absolutely. The connections you make and whatnot. Is there anything outside the box that you don't mind sharing that you maybe kind of talk to these students about, that is not just about A, B, C's and 1, 2, 3, something that like, hey, life's going to punch you in the mouth. Be prepared, or like, is there anything outside the box you don't mind sharing?
Sure. It's interesting you bring that up, because this whole NIL thing has come up recently. Mm-hmm. So this whole, there's a big dollar sign that seems to be at the end of the rainbow, rather than, I want to go to college and I want to play ball and I want to try to get to the next level. So the conversation usually always was, hey, when you want to play at the next level, or if you want to go to college, or even if you want to go to a trade school, those are all things that are really valuable. The conversation changed from, hey, I want to play to the next level. And now sometimes you try to keep a young student athlete from getting a little bit too far over their skis, because they see this guy online, he did X, Y, and Z. And I'm all for having goals, and I'm even all for having unrealistic goals. You got to set some things out there sometimes where, you got to believe in yourself, number one. But you really got to go where you're wanted, number one. You got to go where you're going to be on the field and go to play. And that's why I'm kind of thankful I went the junior college route, because if I went to a 4-year university, I probably wouldn't saw a field for the first 2 years.
Sure.
So those 2 years of junior college are really valuable. You're able to get almost 100 games under your belt and 300 at bats a year. So try to go where you're wanted. Proximity is important. Sometimes they choose close family, and that's all important. So always make sure you're trying to make the decision what's best for you and your family, and not necessarily the shiny object, I guess I would say.
Love it. And so what do you think makes a great educator?
I think communication. You have to build those relationships. I think it's the same as with a coach. You're transferring information, and you're in the military, and communication is paramount. How if this group of soldiers maybe doesn't accomplish a task, is that the soldier's fault, or maybe is it the communication that was given to them? So if you're an educator, or if you're a coach, and somebody kind of comes up short of their task, a good educator, a good coach is are they willing and are they open to discussing the format, the lesson plan, or the game plan clear enough to where they know what they're doing at all times. And even if there's a hurdle in between or something that comes up, it's going to happen. Prepare them for the unpreparable, I guess you would say. So
sure.
Communication, building those relationships, and then taking it from there, I would say.
What about you stands out to, is there any secret sauce that you have, that you maybe a technique that you use in teaching that is still accepted within the realms, but a little bit different than other teachers?
I think part of it is, sometimes teachers or coaches, they try to use a cookie cutter approach, maybe apply the same thing. And I think what worked for me best was finding out what worked for me best. Is that sometimes I would try to do what worked for somebody else, and that ain't going to work for you all the time. And it takes a little bit of time. So everybody's a different type of learner. Every player is a different type of player. And I was a little bit fiery. I was that kind of guy chirping in the dugout. I was
Me too.
Fired up, and I was, probably sometimes, I had to reel it in, or a player had to help me reel it in, or a coach. And that worked for me. And I had teammates that were more cerebral, that were more mental, that had that quiet approach. And that didn't work for me. So figuring out what works best for you. And it's, sometimes it's hit or miss. Sometimes you got to see what sticks. But try to do what's best for you. And it usually works out best.
So you have a lot of strengths that I'm hearing kind of come through. You really got about networking and communication and listening. So what do you think you appreciate the most about your strengths?
I guess I appreciate that I was able to find out and develop them, because I think you figure out what your strengths are, you quickly figure out what your weaknesses are. You know, sometimes it's easy to, you kind of want to ignore them. Like, I have a weakness here. Well, I'll just focus on my strengths there all the time because it makes me feel good.
Sure.
Let me just, work on hitting the inside pitch or work on my math skills, because that's easy. And you kind of push to the side the stuff that's difficult. So, I think everybody appreciates their strengths, but I think I appreciate some of the strengths that used to be weaknesses.
Yeah, there you go.
That's kind of the thing. It's like, don't get me wrong, we still all have those. Everything's a work in progress. So I'm trying to figure out which weakness I want to turn into a strength next.
Love it.
And then try to build from there. So I guess that's the way I would put it.
Love it. And so slumps. Do you play baseball, man? I play ball. Slumps. Are you coaching baseball, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Let's talk slumps. Let's talk techniques that you're working with your student athletes to work out of a slump.
The biggest part, it's all mental, Scott, for
Absolutely.
me. I mean, you look into a slump, and I think one of the biggest things you don't want to do is you start looking at stats. Oh, I'm 0 for 3, then I'm 0 for 7, then I'm 0 for 12, and then I'm 0 for 15. Or even if you're a pitcher, now my ERA is this, and now it's 4.2, now it's 5.7. The biggest mental approach when you're on deck, or if you're in the hole, or if you're in the bullpen, the slump, it's all mental. Sure, you want to go back, maybe it's a mechanical thing, we'll just this and that, but I'm not real big on, let's completely change your swing. Let's completely change your mechanics. I remember Pete Rhodes says, I don't really change guys' swings because your swing is what got you here.
Thank you for saying that, bro.
Your swing is what got you here, reinvent the wheel here.
Yes.
So a lot of it is just confidence. A lot of it is just confidence. And I was kind of, in my head, I was a little bit of an egomaniac. When I went to the plate, it was, me versus this guy. You could have 15 outfielders. I really don't care. I'm going to beat this guy. So trying to regain that confidence, and everybody's going to go through a slump. It's unavoidable. So really enjoy your hot streaks while you can. So figuring out why you're in the slump. If you're chasing a pitch, sometimes you're too aggressive. Sometimes you're not aggressive enough. So figuring that out and going from there is my advice.
Dude, that is awesome. And getting back to your basics, like Pete Rose said, dude, you've been there. You wouldn't be at a level, making it through Little League, to high school, to college, to the show, and I wear number 8 my whole life because of 2 people, the kid Gary Carter and Cal Ripken Jr. And I went to Phil Wilson's Show Me Baseball camp, and I got to meet both of them. And I would like pick I was young, dude, before I even know how to talk to people. But the funny thing you said is that, like, Ripken said it was about stats and stances to him. Yeah. Remember, he changed his stances all the time.
Every game, it felt like.
If I would have just went back to what Senior taught me, I probably would have at least matched Ted Williams for over 400. That's one thing that he had said. And I just love that you said, go back to the basics, what got you there. And then, and don't try to make changes during that, because, if the ball's looking like a beach ball coming at you, you're in a good zone. But if it looks like a freaking ping pong ball 95, that's all. Thank you for saying that, man. Thank you for bringing that box. So how about constructive criticism? How do you handle it?
Well, you better be able to handle it, number one. And I had some tough coaches growing up where, junior college sometimes is the Wild West. There's not that much oversight. There's not many coaches around. The roster's a little bit smaller. And I had guys from all over the country, Latin America, New York, Canada, Australia. And that's a melting pot. A lot of different cultures kind of they're in the lineup, and you're sharing a dugout, you're sharing hotel rooms and bus trips.
Yeah.
And sometimes they're going to tell you something you don't want to hear. And it's better to hear it early than late. So
sure,
coaches, if they're a good coach, I think, or even a teacher, they should bring that type of stuff up. Whether you're struggling with a pitch or or, whether you're not doing well on a test grade, you have to hear this stuff. Or if you're a good boss, or if you're a good producer like Donnie, I'm sure he criticizes you all the time. Maybe it's warranted, maybe it's not. But it's important. I don't think you could sugarcoat things with a player all through their life. I don't think you're helping them out very much. Now, I think compliments and good feedback is obviously important too. But when you take that criticism, try to understand that they're not trying to beat you down. They're not trying to tell you you're bad at this, but they're trying to see if you could recognize something so you could try to adjust it, fix it, and probably maybe you're in a slump or you're struggling with something. It's essential, I think, to any student or player developing in whatever sport or field they're in.
I love it. I love it. Do you know the movie Back to the Future? You ever seen it?
Of course, that's my favorite movie of all time. And you mentioned my favorite player, who's Cal Ripken Jr.
Okay, love it. I mean, we've got a lot in common. You got to get down here to South Florida. Anyway, so let's get in that DeLorean with Marty. Okay, let's go back to the double deuce, the 22-year-old Steve Yurchick. All right. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you, that's what we call him here at Time to Shine today. What kind of knowledge nuggets would you drop on the 22-year-old Steve to maybe help him shorten learning curve, level up, and blast through, maybe just a little bit quicker?
So we talked about slumps in my first year in the independent leagues. I hit a slump. You're just seeing different level stuff. It's like going from your senior year in high school to your freshman year in college. There's a threshold there that you haven't seen before. And I hit a slump. And I think one of the biggest issues that I did that I wish I could go back to myself is, I kind of brought too many cooks into the kitchen. I was getting advice from 4 or 5 different guys, and I was my own worst enemy. I was trying to listen to this guy's opinion and that guy's opinion when, like I talked about earlier, I should have just went back to the basics. I was trying different bats, and I was doing different stances, and where's my weight need to be, and this and that. And I was already walking up there with 2 strikes. That's what it felt like, I felt like I had a wet paper towel in my hand trying to hit fastballs. So if I could go back and just say, listen, you're here for a reason. Be confident in what got you here. Tune out all the white noise. And I think I would have been better for that. My defense was fine because I didn't think about it, and I knew I was confident in it. And hitting's obviously difficult, a little bit more difficult. But if I could go back, I would say, listen, relax, stop listening to everybody, even though they can help. Maybe, shorten it to 1 or 2 people and then go from there.
I love it. I love it. So how do you want your dash remembered, Steve? That little line in between your incarnation date and your expiration date, your life date and death date on your tombstone, which hopefully is a long way off. But how do you want that dash remembered?
That's a good question. I want it to be remembered, I hope they remember me. I guess just how I lived. I played ball passionately. I was in, I loved it. And it was something that I still wish you could play forever. But I hope that they think of me and they think of some fun times that we had, that, I was a little bit of maybe a character on bus trips and stuff like that. But I hope if they do think of me and they see that dash, then they smile. I love it. I remember playing ball with him. I remember, he was a great teammate, and, he would do anything to sacrifice for the team if he had to. And hopefully they miss him too.
Love it. So what do people misunderstand the most about Steve?
That's a good question. What is the most, I guess sometimes maybe, that's a good question. If I'm too, what is most misunderstood? Maybe I think I show affection in weird ways.
Me too, dude.
Like if I'm tough on you, it doesn't mean that I don't like you. It's like sometimes I think, and that's something maybe I got to work on, is that my niece is around a lot, and it's kind of, we're taking the village approach with her, and sometimes I want to be the fun uncle, but I also sometimes you got to be a little bit of a parent as well. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. So I think showing I guess how you do a disciplinary approach, it doesn't mean that I don't like you. It's just it's a constructive criticism thing that everybody wants to improve, I would say.
Love it. So let's take out of this equation anything electronical, and let's do quickly on this. Anything electronical, what are 3 things that Steve can't live without? And again, no phones, tablets, computers, nothing. What are 3 things you can't live without?
So we're taking away electronics. Is that right?
Yes, correct.
Man, I love exercising. I love going to the gym.
Okay,
I know that's
good.
a big thing,
Yeah,
but I think, I know that you go to the gym, it's for your physical health, but it's for my
sure.
mental health as
Mental,
much as
baby.
anything.
Yeah.
Um, the second thing is, I love just having a vehicle. I love my truck.
All
I
right,
love getting
cool.
around. I love going somewhere where I got to throw stuff in the back or my sister's dogs or whatever.
Sure.
I guess that's one. And let me see the third one.
Better say baseball, dude.
I think,
You better say baseball.
yeah, I guess baseball, there's maybe some memorabilia I could do without, but I don't know. Let me see. Man, another thing to take electronics out. Um, Man, I don't know. Oh, okay. I got a favorite hat. How's that? I'll take
Nice.
that.
Got to have the
I
right
can do
lid,
with that
bro.
one.
Love
Good
it.
lucky charm.
I love it. I love it. It's hey, time to shine today. Podcast Varsity Squad. We are back, and Steve, you and I could talk an hour on each one of these questions, okay? But you got 5 seconds with zero, and I mean zero explanations. All right.
All right,
You ready to rock?
let's go.
Let's level up. All right. What's the best leveling up advice Steve's ever received?
Be yourself. Just be
Yeah.
yourself and everything will work
Share
out.
one of your personal habits that contributes to your success.
5 a.m. workouts.
Love it. You see me, I'm walking down the street. Fergie looks like in his doldrums. Like, what book might you hand me?
Swing away stand.
My man. Your most commonly used emoji.
The guy that's flexing.
Love it. Nicknames growing up.
Yurch.
Chess or checkers.
Oh, chess.
Love it. Favorite charity and organization like to give your time or money to?
Boys and Girls Club of America.
Thank you. Last question. You can elaborate on this a little bit, but what is the best decade of music? 60s, 70s, 80s, or 90s?
Man, so funny. I grew up in the 90s primarily, but the last couple years, man, I've been really into 80s alternative rock.
My dude, bro. I was born in 72. I was born in 72, so I'll be 50 in February, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, so the 80s, dude, I lived through the best decade.
It was all over,
Dude, I lived through the best decade ever. And, I graduated in 1990, so literally from 10 years, I lived through the best decade. I'm talking big hair, don't care. And you had the glam bands, the metal, rap. Dude, we had it all in that. It was awesome.
Easily, I'm with you 100%.
Awesome. I love that. So, Steve, how can we find you, brother?
I think I'm on every social media platform. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, and LinkedIn.
Instagram,
and I have an Instagram as well.
Yeah.
It's pretty much just my name. I'm even thinking about maybe I'll bring MySpace back too.
My dude.
We'll bring that back. So I'll keep you posted on that one.
My guy. Hey, so talk to us about Swing Away Stan, a true redemption story.
Well, it was about a 1.5-year project. I never wrote anything that was creative writing. I was in school. It's all APA. It's all technical stuff. So I had to meet with a professor. He kind of gave me some good notes, and it was a process, man. Reading, writing, editing, rinse, repeat. And so some days I just wanted to separate from it, and I don't want to deal with this anymore. But it was every day I just wrote a paragraph, and the next day I wrote a paragraph, and then I edited, and all of a sudden it was, I was holding a copy in my hands. I was probably as shocked as anybody that I did that. So I'm glad I did it, though. It was fun.
It's awesome. And Squad, it's a super fantastic parable. It's a quick read. It's about 60 pages ish or so.
Yep.
And, I'm going to have a giveaway that I'm going to have my good friend Steve, John Hancock. He's going to sign a copy. What's going to happen is the first one that puts in any of our social, that includes Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, whatnot, LinkedIn. If you put Swing Away Stan, or no, you know what? Let's say Stan Rocks. If you say Stan Rocks, I know you've listened to here. I'll make sure that a signed copy on Time to Shine Today's Dime will be mailed out to you with Steve's signature on it. So again, Stan Rocks. Nope, forget that. Stan the Man. Stan the Man is what it's going to be. All right, Squad. So the first one that puts Stan the Man in any social will get a free. Actually, the first 5 people that put Stan the Man in social, I will have my friend Steve sign a copy out to you and mail it out. If you mind taking care of some of the postage, Yeah,
No
or I can
problem.
Venmo you the money, man.
I'll send them to you too. I'll send you a couple.
I better get it, baby. You know,
Personalized, easy.
yeah. So squad, we literally again, it's Steve's a coach that is an educator level. Like he wants to mold the minds. Our brains aren't even fully developed until we're 25 years old. That's, physiologically. And Steve's there helping people level up. He wants in front of your skis. He wants you to stay grounded, but think big at the same time. Always level up. A good educator is a fantastic communicator. He loves to build relationships and network. He wants you to find your unique gift and work those reps. Do reps until your gift becomes something that you can offer to people to help them level up. Criticism is going to come. If you trust the person, let it stew a little bit, learn from it, recognize it, adjust to it, and then level up. Okay. He believes in, if you're in a slump, or whatnot, to go back to the basics, keep less cooks in the kitchen. You've been confident before, work back to that confidence and what got you there. And if there's the one or two, like Steve said, one or two or three people that you really trust, get your asking gear, ask them for the advice to help you level up. And Steve will be remembered as someone that slid across home plate, bumped, bruised, battered, but he will have given so much to this world, just like he did in the last 20, 25 minutes. I'm so blessed to know Steve. Steve, you earned another varsity letter here at Time to Shine today. Thank you so much for coming on. I love your guts, and I can't wait to collaborate with you in the future, brother.
No problem, Scott. Thank you very much. And also thank you for your service. We all really appreciate
you, brother.
That.
All right.
No problem.
Chat soon.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to this episode of Time to Shine Today podcast, proudly brought to you by Sutter & Nugent Real Estate Excellence, who can be reached at 561-249-7266 and online at www.sutterandnugent.com. If you're a business owner or professional who would like to be interviewed on Time to Shine Today, please visit timetoshinetoday.com/guest. If you like this episode, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts. There's a link in the show notes to our website. Also there, you will see our recommended resources. We hope that you will support our show by supporting them. If you like what you've been listening to, it'd be great if you could just give us a 5-star rating and tell your friends how to subscribe while you're at it. I'm your host, Scott Ferguson, and until next time, let's level up. It's our time to shine.